Did you know that Black Americans are twice as likely as any other race to develop dementia? In response to this alarming statistic, Black Dementia Minds was founded in 2021 to advocate specifically for the Black community. A Christian-based support group under the National Council of Dementia Minds, Black Dementia Minds is made up of diverse individuals who are breaking the stigma of decline by choosing to live well, with intention, every single day. In September 2021, the group made its powerful debut with a groundbreaking video presentation titled, "For Such a Time as This." Now, in this moving follow-up, the members reflect on their journeys since their diagnoses, continuing to live fully, faithfully, and intentionally. Black Dementia Minds presents That Was Then, This Is Now.
Jesus pieces.
Oh, yeah. Please. All right, my name is Chris Tan, and I was diagnosed with dementia, MCI, mild cognitive impairment, in 2017. Then in 2019, I was diagnosed with FTD, frontotemporal dementia. And it has been a journey, there's no doubt about that, but it's been a great journey for me because I look at life differently now, totally differently. Not like it's the end of the world or anything like that, but I believe me having this diagnosis has given me the opportunity to show my reflection of love that Jesus has inspired in me. And it's been beautiful. People really need to know about this disease, especially people of color, because we're the last to learn, and that's been proven, about a disease that affects us the most. I really think, and I truly believe, that there is a cure for this dementia. But I believe our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is just looking for vessels to bring this about. We as people will relate to it if it comes in a pill form, but the Bible teaches me, my Bible teaches me, that Jesus has the power to heal. He's just looking for those people to have faith. And really that's where I am right now with this. And I love what I'm doing. I love being an advocate for this dementia. And something else amazing about this that's happening in my life, and it's with my wife. She now teaches a class about dementia. She's now in Poland as we speak, doing a conference on dementia. She is also opening up a brain health center in Valdosta, Georgia, and bringing clinical trials to Valdosta, Georgia, dealing with dementia. People of color, trying to get them involved with these clinical trials. I do believe that the cure could come from people of color. And I say that because I had hepatitis C. I got involved in a clinical trial, and out of that clinical trial came a cure for hepatitis C. And I was glad to be a part of that. So I say all that to say this, that we, are people of color, should get more involved or be more involved with clinical trials. I still work a 40-hour job. I'm planning on retiring in December, not because of my diagnosis, but because I want to spend more time with my grandkids. I still do everything I normally did. There have been times, I must admit, there are times where I might walk to the bedroom and forget what I went back there for. And then I laugh at that and walk back to the kitchen, and then I remember. But anything major, as far as a major change, nothing has happened yet. I'm not expecting anything to happen either. I believe God is keeping me in this particular space for now and holding this, whatever progression is that may come, He's holding it. And I'm enjoying this ride. I'm enjoying this journey. I really am. Truly.
Hi, I am Monica Downer, and I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, but I grew up right here in Decatur, Georgia. I am living well with mild cognitive impairment and moderate memory loss. What led me to seek a diagnosis, I was a high school special education teacher, and one accommodation that we had was reading tests aloud to students. And I would be reading, and I had trouble staying on the line. And so I began to feel like I'm kind of throwing the kids off because I have to stop, find my place again. So eventually I just, we'll just grab a ruler and to stay on the line, no problem. And then I had the same issue when I was taking the roll. I had to stay across the line to make sure the right child is marked present or absent. It's marking the wrong child present or absent. I'd have to do it multiple times to make sure the correct attendance with the correct child. So that was a visual issue. But then it wasn't just that, also memory problems. I was using a lot of sticky notes, and I got to where I was using so many sticky notes when it was time to find what I needed, I had trouble finding the right sticky note. Always been good with math. Now all of a sudden, I'm struggling with just bill paying, just simple addition, subtraction. What's paid, what needs to be paid. I'm paying multiple times, not paying at all. So I had my husband take over that task. And I did not have even a diagnosis yet, but it was just really overwhelming for me. So I was concerned. I have migraines, and I was seeing a neurologist for my migraines, and I was sharing my symptoms with the neurologist. And I told him I was concerned, especially with my mother having frontotemporal dementia. He assured me that, he did not think that was what was going on with me. I expressed concerns for a couple of years. I felt like he kept brushing me off because I don't look like dementia. I'm young, and it's not just an old person's disease. Young people do get it as well. Eventually, he heard me out, and he sent me for testing. He sent me to a memory center for testing, and that was in 2016. I was 45 years old. They diagnosed me with mild cognitive impairment with moderate memory loss. And at that time, I didn't know what that was. And but my neurologist never did say anything about it when I had follow-up visits with my migraines. And so eventually I said something to him about the diagnosis, and he just shrugged his head. He just shrugged his shoulders like, no big deal. So that left me to find, to do research on my own and learn about it on my own. So the next few years, I still had problems, and in different areas. So one day I parked my car at work, and a coworker did, and she was like in her 80s. I parked, and I had to park in between the two lines, and we were talking about how challenging that is to park the car in between two lines. And I thought about that later on. I said, well, now this is really not an age-appropriate challenge for me. It is for her because she's in her 80s, but for me in my 40s, this is not an age-appropriate challenge. So that led me to go back to the neurologist, and I had a neuropsych test, and I had a PET scan. Both of them indicated frontotemporal dementia. That was in 2020. The latter part of 2020, my voice became impacted. If I have my little notes, I'm pretty good, but if I'm just trying to talk off the top of my head, sometimes the struggle is I have trouble getting the words out. It's a vocal cord issue. So the next 4 years, so then I also had a PET scan, and it indicated FTD, frontotemporal dementia. And the next year, they repeated the PET scan, and it did not indicate frontotemporal dementia. The symptoms are there. The PET scan said something different. I said, oh, well, maybe you're just depressed. Maybe it's anxiety. One doctor said, maybe you're depressed. Another doctor, oh, maybe it's anxiety. So I began to see different specialists based on the symptoms that I have. I see an ENT and a vocal therapist. And then I've recently had a sleep study, and I have severe sleep apnea, which is interesting because a lot of neurologists, when a patient comes to them with neurological problems, to rule out things, they often order a sleep study. I had never had that ordered. So I recently did have a sleep study done, and I was diagnosed with severe sleep apnea. So it hadn't been treated yet. And so I'm hoping that there'll be some improvement with my cognition when it's actually treated, because it can cause cognitive problems. So I see a psychiatrist, since they said, oh, maybe it's depression, maybe it's sleep apnea. No, maybe it's anxiety. So if they put me on medications, I'm on the highest dose anti-anxiety med. So the anxiety, chest-related pain has ended, but my cognition has not improved. And for my visual challenges, I'm seeing now a neuro-optometrist as well. And I find that interesting too, because since I have lupus and I'm on a medication that can affect my retina, I've seen a retina specialist for years, and I told them my visual problems, and they said, oh, your vision's fine, you just need some readers. But then when I saw the neuro-optometrist, he saw something different and could see that I did need, some correction with my vision. Also, since my problem started when I was diagnosed with lupus, when I was in Memphis, I did ask my rheumatologist there if he thought lupus could be the cause of my problems, because lupus causes inflammation, and it can, impact. You can have cognitive issues, and so my rheumatologist in Memphis said no. When I moved to Louisville, I asked that rheumatologist as well, and he agreed, no, lupus is not the cause of my cognitive problems. So I'm still really on the path to finding out what's going on. A normal day for me now, since I'm not working, I'm involved in multiple support groups such as Black Dementia Minds, and so I have Zoom calls. It's mostly support, but there's also education, there's also advocacy, and have lots of doctor appointments. I still enjoy cooking. I have to do it differently than before. I have to set timers, sometimes multiple timers if there's multiple dishes. I still go grocery shopping. I'm involved in my church. I've always had houseplants, but now I've gotten even more houseplants. I'm getting more involved in that. I find it very therapeutic. And most of my adult life, I have been involved in book clubs. And so now I don't so much read, I mostly listen to audiobooks, but I'm still able to be involved in book clubs. Sometimes I'm asked, what do I want people to know about dementia? I have 3 things I would like for people to know. Number 1, it's not just an old person's disease. You can be diagnosed at any age with dementia. And even when we see someone in the latter stage, it didn't just start there, and it could have started 20 years prior to then. Also, that dementia should not be a taboo topic. We should be able to freely talk about dementia like we do any other health problem. And lastly, something I wish I had known about prior to my diagnosis is long-term care insurance. Cancer runs in my family, so I knew to get a cancer policy. But I've never heard of long-term care insurance until after I've had a diagnosis. And long-term care insurance, it can help pay for memory care if that's needed. That can run you $8,000 a month. Most people probably don't have that kind of money, and that's the low end for memory care. But it can help pay for that. It can help pay for somebody to come in the home. So I feel like long-term care insurance is something that everybody needs to know about, and certainly take out that policy before you start getting checked out for dementia.
I don't remember the year I was diagnosed. My name is Melvin Glover, Jr. I was raised in Los Angeles, California. Started working with the city of LA as a truck operator. And then from truck operator, I ended up being a trainer. And from trainer, I moved up as a supervisor for the city of Los Angeles, and it was a sanitation department. Had 56 employees under me. I thought you'd get a kick out of that, but yes. I had 65 employees that I had to basically keep up with day to day. I got to a point where I was hard keeping up with, parts of the job, keeping up with numbers as far as who's where, and trying to make sure that the guys that I had on these routes, that they were there, at work, and then from there it came to a point where it was hard for me to do paperwork, and it really disrupted my whole being of a person, and after that, that's when I found out I had some issues driving the vehicle around in the areas where my crews were working, and I started having little accidents, and if it wasn't the accidents, I had started kind of forgetting with areas that I have been in, Hollywood Hills and areas like that I had been in forever, and it got to a point where I get up there, I don't know where I am, even looking at the street signs, I don't know how to get around up there in the Hollywood Hills. So that's when I realized there was something going on, and I needed to find out, what the problem was, and then they decided to do a cognitive test. I didn't do very good on that test. So I didn't do good on that test. So then they sent me to a neurologist. So the neurologist, he tested me. Of course, the thing asked me how to spell. What's that? It's world backwards. Spell world backwards. So it catches you like, spell world backwards. Okay, I can spell word forward, but it's gonna take me a while to think about how to spell backwards. So that was the first time that I had to deal with stuff like that. So I went from there to other testing, and with blocks and stuff like that, and didn't do very well on those things. So that's when they decided, okay, they took my driver's license away, and that's a freedom that a lot of people kind of I don't think they take advantage of having that freedom, but that's a freedom. I actually cried for not being able to drive my new car. My wife is a nurse, thank God, and she's my health. I mean what you call it, caregiver. She's my caregiver now. So it's a blessing, that God has her there for me as caregiver, because I don't know if anybody else want to deal with me. That's what's keeping me going. And before I was diagnosed, my mom had dementia. So I was actually helping my mom before I found out I had dementia. So now I'm a person with dementia, but I'm a caregiver also for my mom. So it's just different to have a situation where you have two people in the same house, one's younger and one's older, and I gotta take care of my mom. So, okay, now it's much easier because I got groups by my side. There was a time when I first found out. I had a counselor guy come in and talk to me every week or whatever. And, he was supposed to be, you know, spiritual, things like that. And it worked for a while. But with Black Dementia Minds now, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. You know, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm where I'm learning something about this disease. Well, I can help somebody else. So when somebody else starts talking about what they have and how they feel, I'll know how to address it. So the whole thing, you know, is a blessing. Actually, it is. You know, now that I see the whole thing, just the disease happens where I was able to meet the people that I'm with now with Black Dementia Minds. And I got people that call me, you know, the time in LA is different than the time here. They call me late at night. I answer the phone. Just call, hey man, how you doing, man? You know, and it's like a family. It's like a family, man. So I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And then the age groups are so different. And even with the age groups, it's like everybody just like caught on to each other, you know? So yeah, man, this is something else, man. I wouldn't have missed this for the world with the people, because I had at least a year I had with all of them by Zoom or whatever, you know. So yeah, this is really something that someone would need, dealing with this disease, and not having people to be able to actually sit with you, talk to you, counsel you. You know what I mean? Because it's faith-based too. So you got people that will pray over you and things like that. So I'm telling you, man, it's a blessing to have Black Dementia Minds.
My name's Nia Mostasero. I'm 49 years old, and I was diagnosed at first with early onset Alzheimer's at the age of 42 in 2017. I was diagnosed 4 months after I retired from the Air Force. I served a wonderful, honorable 23 years in the Air Force, and I started having problems probably 2 to 3 years before I retired. I would forget my ride home. I forgot how to start my car. I really thought I had a brain tumor, actually. I was just that off. My primary care manager at the time told me that I was stressed out because of my job and my rank. So they sent me to mental health, and I was put on a bunch of different antipsychotics and antidepressants, but none of them helped with my memory, my coordination, my hallucinations, my sleepwalking, anxiety, all these things. So I changed doctors, and my new doctor, she put me through a litany of specialists. And the neuropsych and the neurologists are the ones who diagnosed me with early onset Alzheimer's. But now fast forwarding to 2022, I moved from Texas to Idaho. My new neurologist did another scan, thank the Lord, and I was re-diagnosed at that time with traumatic brain injuries, which made sense because I sustained several during childhood from childhood trauma. And they re-diagnosed me with another dementia by the name of chronic traumatic encephalopathy. The difference is definitely in the progression. My neurologist took a sigh of relief because she said, if you had truly had Alzheimer's, you would be progressing a lot faster. But this diagnosis is a slow progressing. So I'm praying that I have the gift of time and of good mind, and to make a difference. My lifestyle has changed dramatically, but for every minus, there's a plus. For every, terrible thing, there's a blessing. I'm learning how to play guitar again. I was first runner-up in the Miss Idaho pageant. I'm still trying to do hard things, but on the flip side, I can't do some things, like I can't cook on the stove anymore. I can only drive short distances now. I think that my life has changed. It's not terrible, it's just different. It's just different. I was asking God why. I cringe when I think of that now, because now I kind of feel like I know why, and it's to educate. My purpose is to show people that it's not an old person's disease, that there are stages, and that you can live a full life.
This is my lovely wife, Kimberly Reed. Give him a smile, Kim. And I'm a husband of actually almost 35 years, Robert Reed. We've been married for 35 years, and literally when we became one, her situation became my situation. So on June 15th, 2017, about 7 o'clock in the evening, we got an official phone call from Kim's doctor, giving us the official diagnosis of early onset Alzheimer's when Kim was the age of 50. Well, at the age of 50, we began this journey. Kim, at that time, really wasn't showing any symptoms other than the typical loss of memory. But 2 years later, she has progressed to the fact that she really is not the same person she was in 2017 or 2021 when we did the first video. In fact, considering that I'm not a part of the first video, that in itself says a lot. So the comparison to the first video is that Kim was talkative. She was able to move around. She expressed that she didn't really want anybody speaking for her, which is ironic because that's what I'm doing right now, speaking for her. But I think she trusts me in that sense to be able to speak for her as far as her progression has gone. So literally in our presentation, which is entitled That Was Then, This Is Now, the then was a vivacious mother of 2 with a full-time job as a freight manager with a logistics company, and had a love for baking cakes, a love for her family. Look at that smile when you talk about cakes. Just going for walks, doing a lot of those different things. Fast forward to today, which is just 2 years from the first video that was done in 2021. A lot has changed. A lot has changed. And her progression continues on a daily basis. Uh, I thought you was gonna say something. Okay. How you feel today? You feel okay? Okay. What would you like for people to know about you right now? Are you happy? Are you sad? You feel okay? You okay? Well, as long as you're okay, we're okay. And that's all that matters. So we'll continue fighting this battle together. Can I fight with you? Or can I fight on your behalf? You'll let me? Give me a smile if you, okay. That's all I can ask. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Joyce Penalver. I'm currently living in California, the Bay Area. I originally was born in New York City and raised in Harlem in the Bronx. I have a diagnosis of early onset Alzheimer's. And I retired recently from the position of mental health therapist working with women in recovery from substance abuse. And I left earlier than I intended to retire because I was having some difficulties with my notes. And so I retired sooner than I wanted to. I took my wife to the dentist one day, and I left her there and I went shopping. And when I went to go back, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know how to get back. And I'd been there several times. It was very scary. I called my wife and I told her what was happening, and she directed me back. After that, we made an appointment with the doctor to find out what was going on. They did a little test with me, a written box, and I was supposed to close it or something, and that again was, well, it was just difficult for me, but I couldn't do it. Anyway, they told me after that test that I had the early stages of Alzheimer's, and that we needed to get our papers in order, and I think mentioned something about 5 years or something like that. And she mentioned about I needed to go to the, there would be difficulty with my license for driving. We got connected with Alzheimer's Association, and through them we got connected with Dementia Minds, which then connected us to Black Dementia Minds. Going to Black Dementia Minds felt like going home because all the people there also had some kind of dementia. And they were talking about things that happened that was very familiar to me. And I felt like these were my people, you know. So that was the biggest thing that helped me. Here I was 80 years old when I got it was before my 80th birthday when I got the diagnosis. And here all these young people, the oldest one I think may have been 62 or something like that, the youngest 42. But they had been there for a while, had their diagnosis for a while. And so I got a lot of information from them about how it's handled. And we were connected. The group was a group that was there to inform the Black community what dementia was and how important it was for them to get tested. when they had these different symptoms that we could inform them with. And so it's been an ongoing, I think part of being in this group and being, what do we call ourselves? Well, helping our communities is really good to me, because that's something that I do. I went into my profession to help because of the drug that came into my community when I was a young person, and how we didn't know what it was. We didn't understand it. Had we understood it earlier, and if we had advocates like we have for now for Alzheimer's and dementia, we might have saved a lot of people. With dementia, what's happened with me, mostly I've tried different things to help with my memory, because that's what seemed to be effective the most, about remembering things. And using computers and that sort of thing is totally gone. I also, the biggest problems I have is around physical problems, because like I say, I'm the oldest person in the group. I'm 82 now, and the physical deterioration that's happened to my body, that happens when you're older, is what gets me the most. I have difficulty walking, and problems sleeping. What happened with the dementia part is that I can't, that my memory is difficult, you know. So I would suggest that people, when you have people in your family or people you know, I would suggest calling Alzheimer's Association for one thing, and also Dementia Minds, Council of Dementia Minds is another, especially after you have the diagnosis, or even before, but if you have some symptoms, the best thing is to go to your doctor and tell them the symptoms that you're having, to find out what is going on with you. Could be something, it could be dementia. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but you have to find out as early as you can. So that's what I would recommend. I'm adjusting. The main things that I do, how I spend my time now, is not too different from the way I did before. I'm a great reader. I read a lot. Now I do puzzles a lot, because that helps with dementia, and Alzheimer's is what I have. And but I don't go out as much as I used to, because I can't drive anymore, and that's been hard to take, because I feel like my freedom is gone. Because when I had my car, I could just go out for the day, go anywhere I want to go. But now I'm stuck at home. I use the neighborhood transit authority that will come and get you, even with a walker, which is what I have now. So it's, you know, it's just, my friends and my friends have been so wonderful. They have, you know, I tell everybody, because that's what we do in the Black Dementia Minds, is advocate. And so I tell everybody that my diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and you know, they say that they could see I have some difficulties with my walking, but they don't no, they don't see the Alzheimer's. So I start telling them about things so that it could know. And if they have the issues, because a lot of my friends is close to my age, they would know what to do, to contact the doctor to find out if that's the diagnosis or whatever is, happening.
Outstanding.
Really?
You did that. Yes.
My name is Miriam Owens. I live in Richmond, Virginia. In December of 2022, I was diagnosed with Parkinsonism and dementia with Lewy bodies. Honestly, there were a few presenting symptoms at the time that I sought a diagnosis, but the major symptom, the one that really propelled me toward, finding an answer for what was going on was lapses in memory, significant lapses in memory that felt like I was missing blocks of time and blocks of conversations that had just occurred. I'm blessed to say that the process for me to receive a diagnosis was a very smooth one, and I know that that is rare with this diagnosis. I went to my existing neurologist. I have been treated ongoing for many years for another condition that required me to have a neurologist. And when I approached her with the symptoms I had begun to have, she referred me to a movement disorder specialist in the same clinic, who happened to be the head of the movement disorder clinic there. So he was very well versed in Parkinson's disease as well as the various dementias. And he diagnosed me at my very first appointment with him. There have been some obvious changes and some not so obvious changes. The obvious changes are that I've had to stop working, which meant that I had to close my childcare business that I had owned and operated for 9 years prior. I had to stop driving, which took away a part of my independence, not all, but a significant part of it. And, those changes have required me to adapt and find other ways to remain independent, to coordinate my own transportation in other ways. Advocacy has become my quote unquote job at this point. So I've reinvented myself in that way. The not so obvious changes are I've lost my confidence, I will say, in a lot of areas. I've always been a very confident, go-getter, self-starter, risk-taker kind of person. And my dementia has presented in such a way that I've had hallucinations, delusional thinking, my sensory experiences have been altered. And so I can't always trust what I see, what I hear, what I think. And I think that's true for probably a lot of people with this diagnosis. So that has eaten away somewhat at my confidence and my ability to kind of just take the bull by the horns and go for it. I do second guess myself a little more now. My diagnosis has not changed. I have second guessed it because Lewy body dementia is sometimes called the roller coaster dementia, because you can have periods of almost symptom-free existence where you begin to think, do I really have this diagnosis? And then along come the symptoms. I've just been reminded that yes, in fact, it is a real and it's an accurate diagnosis. So I'm still rolling with the original diagnosis I was given back in 2022. Every day presents itself differently for me. No 2 days really mirror each other. I've had to change my expectancy in that area so that I don't wake up expecting my day to go any particular way, other than, my mindset is to try to make the best of whatever that day brings. And so that being said, typically I sleep late. I'm a late sleeper because I have some sleep difficulties at night. So I do tend to sleep late into the morning. I like to be alone now, which is also a little different for me. I was a lot more social, wanted to be more social at other times in my life, but I appreciate solitude and quiet now. So I try to keep activity to a minimum. I'm sorry. 2 days a week, I go to a therapeutic exercise class. And on other days, if I don't have appointments, medical appointments, or physical therapy or something like that, I may just do some visiting with family, grandkids, my parents. I'm blessed to still have them here with me. But outside of that, really the joy for me is solitude, listening to music, reading, binge watching a favorite TV show, and of course my support group, Black Dementia Minds. That's a highlight of every week for me.
You are so sweet, dropping that nugget in there. I too am a late morning sleeper. But what is late? What is late morning for you?
Oh, usually 10, 11 o'clock.
If I could go that long, I would, because I stay up to like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So,
Right, me too.
But with work and stuff, sometimes I have to get up at 7, 8, and that hurts. So I end up having to take a nap, which is something that I would not normally do in my past. But anyway, it's not about me; it's about you. We got 2 more questions.
Okay.
So, since your diagnosis, do you feel that people might treat you differently in any ways?
I do feel that people treat me differently. It's interesting, actually. My family treats me differently, but not in a negative way. I'm glad that they understand my diagnosis. They have listened to podcasts and attended webinars and read up on things, written materials, and so on. So they understand it. And so because they understand it, yes, there has been a shift somewhat in the way that they treat me. And I appreciate that. So that's a good change and a good difference. On the other hand, former associates, I don't use the term friends lightly, so I will say former associates, people I've known, have shied away. Sometimes that was a surprise. There were people who I no longer speak to, who I thought for sure would hang in there with me, and they have not. And then there were other people kind of from like an outer circle of associates who I totally understood, would not press on and hang in there with me, which is also okay. So I've had to adapt. Again, there's that word to that. And, it is what it is, and I'm okay with that. The people that are supposed to be in my life will be there when they're supposed to be there.
Thank you for closing that question with that, because that is so true. A lot of people that you would expect to be there for you, they're the ones who actually have become distant. And they have their reasons, I'm sure. But
right.
Last question.
and you can talk about this in whatever way you want to,
Okay.
because this is personal. What things do you want people to know about dementia?
Wow. That's a pretty broad question. To start at a really basic level, I want more people to understand what dementia is. I want people to understand what dementia is not. I think there are a lot of myths about dementia. There are a lot of stigmas that are not true. There are some false beliefs and expectations about, what a diagnosis of dementia means from the outset. In other words, there's so much life usually for a person to live and live well after diagnosis. But even the medical community falls short so many times as far as supporting people along that journey. So I would want people to understand that as a person with dementia, I do need support. I do need medical intervention and things of that sort, but I also need the social piece. I need caregivers, care partners who understand me and my diagnosis. I need community partners who are willing to and skilled enough to connect me with community resources that will help me to continue to live well with my diagnosis. So many times, I think we get hung up on, dementia and thinking terminal and thinking the end of the road so quickly and so soon when, again, there's so much that I have to offer even now. And so rather than assuming I can't do things or snatching tasks away from me because you're afraid that I'm not going to do it right, I just want a chance to be Miriam, continue to be who I am and not be stripped of those things prematurely. Just somebody to walk alongside me and help me and support me as I need to be supported. And then finally, I just want people to understand that, like many, many other diseases, some of which are classified as terminal illnesses, dementia is a hard illness. It can feel like a heavy load a lot of days, but at the same time, I think the bright side of it, and a lot of people would say, what bright side? But I'm always looking for a bright side. And so for me, the bright side of it is opportunity. I just find myself in this space now with dementia, and I just want to be a light to other people on this journey. I feel like I'm here for a reason. And so, why not make the best of it? Why not help somebody else along the way? We all have that to give in some capacity, regardless of our circumstances. So dementia is no different. I think people just have to let go of the stigmas and realize that dementia doesn't mean automatic end of the road. It just means adapt. It just means we need to shift. But there's still hope. And because there's still hope, I continue, I press on, as do many of the people that I know walking with this illness. So we just need your support, we need your prayers, and we need your interest. Don't lose interest, because where there's interest, there's conversation. And where people are talking about something, there are resources poured into that. And all of those things could potentially lead to a cure. So let's keep talking about it. Don't shy away from it. It's just the word, diagnosis, dementia. But we can make a change. And so I want people to just keep that in mind.
I am Terry Montgomery, and I am living very well as a survivor so far of Alzheimer's. Back in 2015 is when I was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's at the age of 58 years old. Then I got hit 3 times since that time of cancer, and 2016 and 17 and then 2022. So getting back to the Alzheimer's, I am living very well with it. What I feel about it is that doctors need to know how to talk to people. We as African Americans have to know to tell the doctors how we feel and how we can get an accurate diagnosis. What we will do with our life of living with this. Telling us that we need to put our papers in order, telling us to enjoy your life is not enough. And telling us that we are terminally ill is not enough. What is enough is that obviously give people hope, to say that we're working on a cure. But you don't have to spend your life counting days, how many days you're gonna die, but count how many days that you could do all the things that you can. And in spite of being affected by something else, that's something you have to ask your doctors questions to make sure that they see you on time for other tests. If they say anything that is not helping you, then you need to pull in your family so you can get better answers or go to a different doctor, even if it's to a different state. So with that being said, we have to have value for ourselves. And for me, my value is to make sure, like with Dr. Epps, I like how we have the opportunity to share our story and have someone that's like her that is in the church. The church is a good spot where you can bounce off of one another of bad news and to good news and to I can get through this news. And when you're able to do that, to bring the bells, to say, hey, don't stay at home, go check yourself out. Don't listen or make your own diagnoses. Now I can't have that, because there's so many things that we get because we didn't go to see about ourselves. So dementia is growing. I was 58 when it happened in 2015. From that point to now, I've gone through so much. But I'm glad I do have the dementia, because then it didn't give me a mindset to always be thinking, oh, I'm this or I'm that. No, it gives me the mindset to want to live and to show that it's value for us to live. No matter what age you are, no matter where you are in your journey, you have to want to live. You have to want to show, to break the stigma. Just because you have this does not mean that you're no good. Volunteer, find out about legislation, find out about what is the protocol when you're sick. Why can't you do a lumpectomy versus a mastectomy? Why can't you make a decision for a patient and it's just a patient there instead of saying a finalized thing with a family member being there? Then when that family member comes there, you don't have that same conversation. So it's always good for people to have your family to back you up, as well as you're able to fight and not accept the answer if they're not treating you as a normal patient. Because you're not going to deteriorate immediately. You're going to live in between. And you're going to go to church, hopefully, for your messages are there to congregate for every type of person you have in the church, from a doctor to a lawyer to a neurologist to a pilot to a nurse, you have all of these people there. The post office man, all of the different walks of life come to church. And if we're not going to go to church, we can still communicate through different avenues of that. But the church is that old place in the Black community that we need to keep that alive, to bring all of those resources and get that information out there to everyone, as many people as you can, and be there to actually support. You could go there for support sessions. You could go there to have a reason to live. You can have a dementia choir. You can have a dementia team about law, about nursing, because that's their background. But use that knowledge that you have, share it. And that's the whole key, is to try to stay alive and try to make ourselves fight for ourselves and make your family stand there if they are shy in speaking, but give people hope. And the doctors give them hope more than you're terminally ill and put your affairs in order. We've been saying that for years. Right now is for you to, what opening do you have that I can volunteer at the church? What opening do you have as far as teaching people how to feel good about themselves? What hope do you have that they have a skill set or a talent that they can share with the church at no cost? Because it gives us hope. It gives us a way to use our talents. It gives us the motivation to tell a person, I don't care what the doctor said to me, it's not going to stop me because God is watching over me. He gives me the power. The power of prayer, of course. We keep pop with us all the time. If we keep Coca-Cola with us, then why can't we keep pop with us? Think about it. The power of prayer is amazing. And then when you really feel like, okay, I've done all I can, we go to the wings, WINGS. Whenever I need God's support, we remind ourselves of that. We're feeling like I'm all alone, and you feel, oh, wings, that's a reminder. So we think of these positive things that motivate us. Don't you ever feel sorry for yourself. And if you see somebody else that needs your help, and that's Dr. Fayron Epps that's trying to put out a plea to the whole world. Please talk. Please seek help. Please share. Please advocate. Please don't just go alone. Please stand up and move forward.
I may have to cry sometimes, but I say thank you, Lord, because I know you know what's going on in my life, and I say thank you, Lord. I take no thought for tomorrow, but I say thank you, Lord, because I know if your eye is on the sparrow, you're watching me.